Daryl Bailey. Laura Brewer.
Here.
Eric Burns. Jackie DeShaw.
Here.
Everett Ferguson.
Here.
Diane Gary.
Here.
Jason Hay. Brett Hallstrom.
Here.
Jeremy Ayers.
Here.
Eddie Hubbard. Dave Hummel.
Here.
Fiona. Sandy Johnson.
Here.
Lori Lance Taylor.
Here.
Bill Little.
Here.
Kevin Lakeland. Brian Mace.
Here.
Mike Moss.
Here.
Rich Mumford. Ryan O'Kay.
Here.
Miles Pearson.
Here.
Terry Phillips.
Yes.
Aaron Reese.
Here.
Ted Smith.
Here.
Matt Sproul.
Here.
Derek Williams. Madam Chair, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Our only new member tonight is Brett. Welcome. Thank you very much for coming and joining us.
Glad to be here.
Thank you. Did you all get a chance, first, because we had two meetings last month, or last time we met, we'll first discuss the annual meeting, the first set of minutes. Did everyone get a chance to do that? And I need a motion.
Dan Smith, so moved.
Do we have a second for a second? Dave Cole, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Going into the regular meeting, 9/27/21. Do we have a motion to accept? Brian Mace,
Second.
second by Eric Williams, all in favor? Aye.
Discussion.
Discussion?
I have a question for the secretary, but in the minutes, there's no mention of who attended. Only 23 members attended according to the minutes. And it's always been my understanding that if Brian Mace is out or needs something, that one of the other members will talk to him. We don't know now.
I don't know how to answer that, without Jason being here, I can't speak for Jason. I do know John sent me a roster of who was here last time. There's several people that are right on the edge. But I can't speak for Jason, so I can't answer your question, Robert. Sorry.
Can we ask him to add it?
Tell him. Is there any other discussion on the minutes? All in favor? Moving right along, committee reports. Obviously, we do not have a secretary tonight, so there are no secretary minute reports. John, could you read the people who are in danger? That have 2 absences? Or 3 absences?
So, at 3 absences currently is Daryl Bailey, Betty Hubbard, Brian O'Kay, Miles Pearson, that's it.
Thank you.
I was at the last meeting, how long was that?
It's a rolling 1-year calendar.
Yeah, it's not just last time. Yeah, it's in the year.
Correct. But it's a rolling 12 months.
Treasurer's report, Matt?
Everybody should have gotten an email with the reports. If anybody did not get the email reports, then they should contact the office for Leanne, I believe, to put you on the email list, or John.
Did you all receive them? Any questions for Matt?
Madam Chair, I move that we accept the treasurer's report.
Second. All in favor?
Who was that? Eric?
Aye. Yeah. Bill, training and ed.
The training and ed report was emailed out with the other reports. Not sure. Any questions?
Any questions for Bill? We have a motion.
Sandy Johnson, I motion to accept.
We have a second.
Please remember to say your name just so the video will pick it up.
So we have a motion by Sandy Johnson, second by Brian Mace, all in favor? Executive, I did not write a report, but I will tell you we've been very busy. We have a lot of things accomplished. The committee list is done. So if you want to find out what committees you are, got it right here. As you know, we have 3 new medical directors. John will tell us about that during the event. And we're moving along. Anything to add, John?
The audit's coming up.
The audit is coming up. So far, we're doing very well. Anything else to add?
Oh, because he doesn't, comes the first week of December. He will be
January. So I guess that's my report. Yes, Sandy.
Are the committee assignments on the web?
They're not. Nothing has been posted because you guys haven't been notified yet of your assignments. So,
Yeah.
after tonight, they will be mailed out to the full council. And, we never have put all the assignments up on the website. If you want the assignments on there, that's certainly something we can look at.
Anything else? Motion to accept?
So moved, Ted Smith.
Do I have a second?
Second, Edward Ferguson.
All in favor? Public relations, probably no report yet. Moving along into REMAC. John?
So as Diane alluded to, we do, for those of you that are not familiar, we do have 3 medical directors under contract to take over the duties from Dr. Davidoff, as he's now in sunny Florida. We have Dr. Matt Talbot that'll be handling the administrative stuff, our CMAC representative, as well as the REMAC chair, Dr. Scott Glick, who will be focusing mainly on quality assurance and education. And then Dr. Surratt, Jamie Surratt, will be doing RSI as his primary function, and assisting Dr. Glick with education. They're all under contract, and things are plugging along right now. Dr. Talbot has officially been vetted at the CMAC, so that was a long process, but at least we're through it. So the big thrust right now is the DOH is implementing the quality metrics. They're starting to build the reporting mechanisms and get things in place, and then we will be jumping on board with quality metric data and watching that stuff locally as well, along with anything else that our docs want to take a look at. I know Dr. Glick is has started looking at on-scenes for trauma care. That's a big one right now, and hopes to improve the on-scene times.
Any other questions for John? Need a motion to accept his report?
Brian Mason.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Jason did submit a report for the state EMS council. Unfortunately, he's not here. Did you all receive his report? Brian, would you like to say anything about state?
The only thing I have to say is that the state CMAC and SEMSCO meetings are January, the next one's January 4th and 5th. And currently, health commerce system, the EMT verification is not working currently. We're not really sure when it's going to be fixed, so if you need something verified or something confirmed, feel free to shoot me an email or call me or do whatever you have to do. I'm really hoping that it's going to be up probably within 2 months, maybe 3, but we'll see. Other than that, I can take questions.
Any questions? Make a motion to accept this report.
Sandy Johnson, so moved.
We have a second.
Additional second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Legislative review, there's probably no report, but John, now it's program agency.
So as many of you know, our conference is coming up February 25th and 26th. Happy to say that we have a full, complete set of speakers for our presentations. We are finalizing stuff with the online registration process. I sent out last week an email requesting if you were interested in having your registration covered as a council member through us for free, but there's a caveat: you must be willing to, in turn, help us set up during the event or take down all the stuff. So if you're interested, I need to know probably by the end of business tomorrow, so that I can get this stuff to the folks at Hobart, so we can open up registrations. Or I don't think we've ever been in this position before, so pretty enthusiastic about that.
John, what position?
I'm sorry.
You said, I don't think we've ever been in this position before.
Having the conference material wrapped up and ready to present for registrations. For many years, it was middle of January at best. Also on our website, there is a place that you can go on and register to be part of the newsletter mailing group. That's how we are going to be. That's how we are going to be blasting out course materials and other important information on a regular basis. But we're still working on getting a decent number of folks on there, so that that will impact the most people. Dave Hubble is assisting me with redesigning and updating our website. It's product that we have at the moment, as far as our concept, is coming along nicely, and I think it'll be a big improvement from what we have currently. As Brian said, City Council is January 4th and 5th in Albany, and our next Vital Signs Conference, because the current one just wrapped up in Saratoga. It was great to see everybody. Will be on October 26th through the 30th, and that will be held in Albany next year. And a report for now.
Anything else for John? Need a motion to accept his report?
Edwards Ferguson, so moved.
Sandy Johnson, second.
All in favor? Donna, you're up. I only have a couple of things on that, and then when we get done with into new business and that, most of you are not going to death with this because you've heard it at least 32 times. But we do have enough new people that we need to explain how the money works in this council and what things can and cannot be done. We've had some issues where some people think that council can do certain things and they can't. And so we have to make sure that everybody is on the same page. Other parts for me, again, fall classes are winding down. We put spring classes are decided where they're going. Flyers will be out next week, so you can keep track of all of that going on. We'll vote during the new business. We have to vote on the renewal for the sponsorships for 3 folks. That will be for the paramedic sponsorship out of FLCC, the one for the council for you guys, and then also Leeds County for theirs. They are all due to the state December 31st. Everybody's in the state is due December 31st. Those that expired last year got a grace period. Those that expired this year got a grace period until December 31st. So they all have to be into John McNorth. So we've been going on that. We had a few updates to the student manual based on some of the things that have happened through the state, especially COVID. We had to add into our student manual, according to the new policies that are out, how we would do our instruction in that. Obviously, the big one that the state is pushing or whatever, that we would go with is face-to-face, but we also have to put in a caveat in there that if we had to break away and do something different because of COVID or whatever comes up, that we would do hybrid learning, which may be, some of it would be asynchronous, where we would work like through Zoom or YouTube or different things like that. But the state is not allowing anything to be done totally online. So that was in the policy statement. But again, I have to incorporate all that into the student manual so the students are aware of that. We could go to that if we have to. We did fairly well when COVID did hit with us. It was a little pricey, but we made things work. When classes had to slow down for a week or 6 weeks, maybe. We finally got back up and running so that they could finish late in the summer. We ended up doing some smaller one-on-one, or I should say like 1 to 5 students. We didn't bring a lot of them back in at one time so that we could get them all up to where they needed to be so they could take a practical exam and take their written exam. So again, like I said, even Jean told us that vital signs and that she realized it was pricey, but we had to do what we had to do to get it done. So, but some of that stuff is going to be in this new student manual. If you want that, I will be glad to email it to you so you can look at that. You just send me an email and say send it to me because it is about 60 pages now. So other than that, that's really about it. I've been working on that, and I've been working on classes. I went to Vital Signs. Brian, I was very pleased with Vital Signs. They did some really nice presentations that I attended, and staff was very helpful as far as different things like that. We had a little glitch with some of the taking charge and getting us entered in that, but they got that fixed. So other than that, that's it. Unless you guys have something for me, I'll do this later. Any questions for Donna? motion to accept?
Brett, these will make both ways.
All in favor? Aye. Terry, you are nominating.
Cool.
Just for the thing with Donna though, back in the beginning, the book was 6 pages long for the student manual. So look how much BS has been put into it. And pretty much everything she's got, we can name it back to the student. So that's the entertainment part. We do have to, we're gonna move people from the at-large position into a county because we do have, actually we have 4 openings in different counties. So if it's all right with you folks, we will move Aaron Reese from at-large, Betty Hubbard from at-large, and Kevin Lightfoot from Wayne County and move all of them to Ontario County. Any questions? Can I get a motion? Or do you want to do one at a time?
I'll make a motion.
Didn't we just say that Betty Hubbard was out for meetings?
No, she's in jeopardy.
No, she's in jeopardy, that's all.
And the same is true with Kevin Lightfoot?
Correct.
Yep.
Can I,
There's,
who made the motion?
Brian,
I did.
Okay, just speaking, I couldn't hear him, so. Was there a second to that?
Sandy Johnson, I'll second.
Is there discussion on her?
it's a whole lot easier to put them in a county and move somebody that comes in new, like we're gonna do in a few seconds here, into the at-large seats and then move them into a county than it is to leave somebody in the at-large where it almost means nothing. All right, so this way they got a place to stay and a place to represent. So it's a lot better to move them. Okay? So we've got to, need a vote on this, yes? All right, so we've got a thing from Brian and an okay from Sandy, so all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Guess it passes. All right, we do have 3 more people to bring on, and I'll give them to you in the order in which I've had them. The first one would be Jamie Callard, and I believe Jamie still lives in Victor, doesn't he?
Can't think of it.
Is he in Canandaigua address? Okay. Say what? Yes. Yes, so Jamie's, I've had his thing about 3 months. So we need to see what we can do if you guys want to bring him on board.
Where's he going into, Terry?
All these people are coming in now are going into the at-large positions.
At what expiration date on
I don't have any
I've
of
got
these.
it, I've got it.
So the at-large terms, so Jamie can come in with an expiration term limit of 22. So 2022.
Need a motion for Jamie?
Sandy Johnson, so moved.
Can we get a second?
Is there a second?
Jackie just saw. Okay, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed?
Yes.
1 opposed. Okay. He's on.
Could we do these by hand, please?
Do you want roll call? Which one? How do you want to do it?
Roll call would be better, because we had 1 yes and 1 no, and nobody said anything else.
Okay.
Laura Brewer.
Yeah.
Eric Burns,
Yes.
Jackie Shaw,
Yes.
Robert Bruce,
Yes.
Brian Holstrom,
Yes.
Jeremy Harris, Dave Hubble,
Yes.
Sandy Johnson,
Yes.
Lori,
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. That's my own little word.
Somebody called my name. It sounds familiar.
Joe Little,
Yes.
Brian Mace,
No.
Mike Moss,
Yes.
Brian O'Kay,
Yes.
Miles Percy,
Yes.
Terry Phillips,
No.
Aaron Reese, Ted Smith,
No.
Matt Sproul,
Yes.
Eric Williams,
Yes.
Next question. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm done.
15 yes, and 3 no's.
Before the roll call was done and everyone voted, should there have been a bit of discussion on who this person was, where he was from, anything, any information? And the reason I ask, I noticed we had some no's, are the rest of us that don't know this person missing something? I mean, usually when
We
you
can.
present someone,
We can.
you present them and say, this person has
We
been
can bring
in
it back up.
an ambulance for 7 years and, you know, you tell us a little bit about him. You give me a name. I don't know anything about this
I
person.
think part of that is the reason being because he was on the council before and got taken off because of attendance. Then he's applying for that.
Oh. Okay. Because why, Donna?
He was on the council before and was taken off due to attendance. He's applying to come back.
And we've also found out some other information, and we're not even sure if he's gonna be around long, only because he is now working for Auburn Fire and EMS. Fire says you gotta live there, EMS does not. So
See,
we're
I
not
wish we'd
sure
known
what his
this before we
occupations
voted.
are.
I mean, it would have made a difference in my decision. If he's not even gonna be in the area.
We don't know. He's still working per diem or part-time at the racetrack.
He has no bearing on where he works. He has to do where he resides. And the concern was he gonna have to move to Auburn? Are we voting on something that in 2 months we're gonna have to take off? But we don't know.
But he hasn't withdrawn his application.
No.
Have we contacted him?
Yep.
And
He was contacted before he went to Auburn, and he was interested then, which is like 4 months ago. We also told him, I also told him that if he changes his mind, let me know. And we'll let you know as soon as if we vote.
Well, worst case scenario, we do this in another couple months.
Yep.
Yeah, because it isn't like this doesn't ever move anything.
That's what, next.
All right, the next one is actually Brian Bailey. Brian is actually the Yates County EMS coordinator. He wants to be on the region and able to actually vote, same as like Bill is now, not what like Debbie Tricky is.
What's that mean?
Debbie cannot vote because she's not on the region, but she can be here as a member to where Ryan wants to be a member so he can vote the same as Bill does.
Where does he live?
Right in Yates County, right in Penn. Well, outside of town, but right down there.
Himrod.
Himrod,
What did you say he was a coordinator for?
He's the EMS coordinator for Yates County.
And this term would expire in 2025.
Any other questions about Ryan? Surprised he's not here.
There's a lot of
He is
questions.
here.
Yes, yes,
out there.
He is here.
Answer your own damn questions then.
You need a motion?
We do need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Second, Rick Ferguson, Cherry County.
Any discussion? Any more discussion, I should say? John, a roll call.
Laura Brewer. Eric Burns.
Yes.
Jackie Shaw.
Yes.
Robert Ferguson.
Yes.
Brett Hallstrom.
Yes.
Dave Hubble.
Yes.
Sandy Johnson.
Yes.
Gloria.
yes.
Bill Little.
Yes.
Brian Mace.
Yes.
Mike Foss.
Yes.
Brian O'Kay.
Yes.
Alice Piercing.
Yes.
Terry Phillips.
Yes.
Aaron Reese. Chad Smith.
Yes.
Matt Sproul.
Yes.
Eric Williams.
Yes.
It's unanimous.
And the last person is Katie Holt. She lives in Canandaigua. She also rides at South Seneca at this time. Looking for a membership here. What else do you want to know?
How long has she been in EMS?
Not as long as you and I.
Well,
Of course, I don't think there's too many that have been. Oh, maybe Donna. Maybe Diane, but Diane's pushing it. What did she graduate at?
I have no idea.
7 to 10 years is the best I can come up with. Because I don't have it here.
that's a fair discussion. You know, I wanted to know if she was brand new or if she's been.
Oh, no,
in it a
she's
while,
been-
or
she's been in EMS for a
very long
while.
time.
And she's looking to join us to get closer to the politics side of the EMS world to see what actually happens, what does actually go on in our groups. All right, she's willing to step on any group. All we gotta do is tell her where she's going.
This term will expire in 2024.
24?
24, correct.
Can we get a motion for Katie?
Brian Mace will make a motion.
Do we have a second?
Sandy
Jackie.
Johnson, second.
Jackie did the second.
You got the roll?
Roll call, John.
Laura Brewer.
No.
Eric Burns. Bill. Jackie DeShaw.
Yes.
Robert Ferguson.
Yes.
Brett Hallstrom.
Yes.
Dave Hubble.
Yes.
Sandy Johnson.
Yes.
Lori Lassell.
Yes.
Bill Little.
Yes.
Brian Mace.
Yes.
Mike Moss.
Yes.
Brian, okay?
Abstain.
Miles Piercing,
Yes.
Terry Phillips,
Yes.
Aaron Reese,
Yes.
Ted Smith,
Yes.
Ed Squirrel,
Yes.
Eric Williams.
Yes.
Yes. 1 no, 1 abstention.
Alrighty. I'll get a hold of these people and tell them which section of the world they go to. As far as the new ones, and I'll get a hold of the other 3 and tell them where we move them. Thank you.
Terry,
Yes.
you said back when you were introducing this, that you would move the people to the counties and then move the new people into the
At large.
at-large positions. Realistically, isn't each member equal in terms of vote and input and all that sort of stuff?
Everybody has a vote. The difference of the at-large versus the county positions is if you're an at-large, you're not eligible to run for a county position within the board of directors. So this, by moving them out of the at-large, that enables those individuals that have been around for a little bit to have the opportunity to serve on the board if they choose to. So it's more or less reporting on their team.
Thank you.
Does that make sense, Sandy, now?
Yes.
Okay.
Is there anything else for Terry? Thank you. Moving right along into unfinished business. Well, that's going to be our sponsorships. Well, actually, we don't. I don't see any unfinished business. So, moving into new business. All right, so we'll get the sponsors off the table.
So Yates County has a sponsorship of their own, up to the basic EMT. They've carried that for many years in that. And Ryan, you are planning on renewing that, correct? Much to your dismay, right? Much to your dismay. So, we need a note, I will read what it says here, we need an approval from the council, alright? It says renewal sponsorship applications shall be reviewed by the appropriate council, which shall forward its recommendation to the department within 45 days of receiving the completed application. If the region council does not forward its recommendation within 45 days, the bureau will process the application without their recommendation. If the regional council is a core sponsor, which we are, it shall consider only the capacity of the sponsor to meet the requirements of this part. If the regional EMS council is not a core sponsor, it may consider the size of the potential student pool and the impact of an additional sponsor on the ability of existing sponsors. So with that being, we are a core sponsor, so we can only vote on the capability of the sponsor to meet requirements. So, do we need a roll call for this? Go ahead. Yeah, you're up then.
Ran out of space.
Well, bring that little tiny computer with you.
Madam Chairman, it's a simple majority. I don't think we need a roll call.
I'm good with whatever.
Are we voting on one sponsorship or
At a
all
time.
three?
No, we're voting on one at a time.
Okay, Gates County. I move we accept Gates County's sponsorship.
Yes, Smith, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any oppositions? Hearing none, that is passed.
Second one will be the FLCC paramedic sponsorship. Seeing as they're the only ones that can offer it by statute, it has to be by an institution of higher education or a teaching hospital. You're out of luck in this region if you vote it down. Ever.
Madam Chairman, I move we accept the sponsorship for the Intervention Community College.
All in favor of endorsing the FLCC paramedic sponsorship?
Aye.
Any oppositions? All in favor, yes.
Okay, the council has two. One is a sponsorship allowing them to offer classes from certified first responder up to critical care, which does include the critical care core. The second one is for their specialty sponsorship, which allows them to do CLI and CIC courses. So let's do one at a time. Let's do the regular sponsorship first.
Make a motion. Second.
It was Eric Williams and Brian.
Brian Baker, yeah. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? It is passed.
Specialty sponsorship.
Second or third?
Who was the first, please?
Brian Mason. All in favor of accepting CLI, CICs? Any opposition? And it passes.
Do you have anything else you want me to go before I do nothing?
Yes. We're going to go into the State Department of Health, investigations. And there's a lot of them this time, so please bear with me. For the agency, Johnstown Area Volunteer Ambulance Corps, agency code number 1713. It was revoked 10/27/2021. Also, if you would like to see afterwards, the penalties and everything, I don't feel comfortable reading them into the minutes. Just come up and look at them. Robert
We have a
Gale,
name?
I give you the names. Yes, but if you wanna see how
What
much.
she just read was the agency that's revoked, it's no longer doing business.
Robert Gala from Brooklyn, EMT number 386759. Matthew Martinez from Bronx, EMT number 469101. John Sinelli from Grand Island, New York, EMT number 113294. Christopher Howland, Amsterdam, New York, EMT number 367340. Sponsorship, Center for Allied Health Education in Brooklyn, New York, sponsor code 08091.
Was that revoked?
A civil penalty.
So they're doing business?
Kevin McKeon in Lynbrook, New York, EMT number 144941. Giovanni Giavaria from Flushing, New York, EMT number 453942. Christina Correa from Brooklyn, New York, 424165. And the agency Ambulance Service of Fulton County, Inc., in Clifton Park, New York, agency code 1712. It was revoked 10/27/21. So these are up here for your viewing pleasure.
Okay. For some of us old dogs, this is gonna be walking hard, right, Everett?
Yeah.
It was, don't sound so.
Yeah.
So, The other part you need to think about this, if you wanna do all of this and you wanna look up anything in that, if you go to Article 30, it will tell you exactly what the role of the council, the program agency, and such are, all right? So, let's start with, I'm gonna start with the council, which is the council as a whole. It's got 30 members, we all know that. It receives a grant from the Department of Health for $25,000. And there are stipulations in there on what the council has to do for roles and responsibilities. The major one of them, it states in there, is to oversee the education in 4 counties. So you can interpret that however you want. You're voting here on sponsorship for Yates County, the council, everything else like that. So that's where that sets, all right? Of that council, with that council, we have the program agency, which is technically owned by the council, right? Some program agencies in other regions are totally separate, but we are technically in charge, you guys are, in charge of program agencies. That has $146,000 tacked onto that with specific items that are the responsibility of that program agency, director, coordinator, whoever you want to call John. Sucker some days. But it is responsible for REMAC, QA/QI, CAD programs, medical director, assistance. It also takes care of assisting with some, what's that?
The annual conference.
An annual conference and assisting, yes, public access defibrillation. If they don't know it by now, they really don't need to be there. But, and the conference, so that comes in with some other things. And again, CMEs are part of John's as well, or part of that program agency. And like I say, if you want to take a look at it, take a look at Article 30, it lists everything that's up there. The council also has a specialty sponsorship, which includes the CLI, CIC courses, putting them up to get new CLIs, new CICs, updating the CLIs and the CICs with new things that are coming out, the different things like that. There is no money attached to that, except for every CLI or instructor that we update when I bring them, drag them all in, kicking and screaming, right, Gloria? And they have to go through a state-sponsored update once every 3 years. So we get a course number, I put the schedule together, put a course number with it, bring them in, and it is a $15 reimbursement from the Department of Health for each one of those. That is the other rest of that, excluding any food, comes from program agency to get that up and running. We can get specialty lectures in for that, we can do different things for that, but that is basically that sponsorship. You have 3 regional faculty right now. I have been one for eons. Heidi Stovey is the other one, and Tyler Harris was just appointed by the state of New York. Bureau of EMS is the 3rd one. This, and Brian, go with me on this here, because the state just brought on a plethora of other regional faculty. We had to apply or reapply, and new ones had to apply about 2.5 years ago. If you were still interested in saying regional faculty, if you were interested in being new regional faculty, and in COVID yet. And that's where it's at. So they just finished going through that and appointing those folks. Actually, we got appointed just before vital signs. We got our letters. So we've only known about 2 weeks maybe, right? At best.
Yeah, sure.
So.
I don't even have a list yet, so.
Oh, okay.
I know the letters went out, but.
The initial.
Because you had to accept, and they didn't want to tell us who they were sending them out to, just who was accepting and who was going to be regional faculty eventually, so.
The initial, yeah. So that's where we come with that. The, again, you've always heard us talk about the NEMC conference that they can go to become CLIs and CICs and such. But we can also go with the state's curriculum. That is in the process or just finishing being updated. So at some point in time after the first of the year, we'll start rolling out some of that as well. Then we have the FLCC paramedic sponsorship, obviously is there. The council also has an affiliation with American Heart. We are a training center for American Heart. And we also are affiliated with the FLREMSC sponsorship in Selm, which is up through the critical care core. Then we bring along and we have FLCC, which is the Finger Lakes Community College, has an affiliation with the sponsor and has had since 1986. I think Everett, Diane, and I are some people who oldies with that. But anyways, it is an affiliation in which the college provides space for us. Obviously, if you're in the Geneva campus, you know where we're located. In the 30 years that we have been affiliated with them, we have been moved around several times. We were here for a few years. We were at the old Geneva campus once. We came here, went back to the old Geneva campus. We went to the VA. We've been all over, but we are planted now, hopefully permanently, in the Geneva campus. They supply myself as the coordinator, director, whatever you want to call it, to oversee the sponsorship and to assist the council as needed. They also provide Leanne, as you all know, is the counselor typist and their office manager, whatever you want to call her. And so she takes care of, banking, or all of us take care of that, but she does assist with making sure we get classes scheduled and that we get everything set with the state, all the paperwork getting sent in and stuff like that. And just to interrupt for a minute, just to let you know, she is retired at the end of December. So the affiliation, and what happens with that is we register the students up front. There is a 3-year agreement that was just signed as of September 1st with the college and the council, that we register the students up front, and then the council, or the college, invoices the council for the cost of the tuition. Okay? We do get a reduced tuition if our folks belong to EMS agencies at the college, because obviously we don't get the amount of money back for reimbursement that the college charges for tuition. So we have an arrangement that they will not exceed tuition charges to us more than what the state reimbursement is. And they are allowed to do that by law, which is a good thing. So then in turn, they voucher us for the students. And then at the end, when the class is over with, I have a budget line in that, and what happens is at the end, I voucher the college for the cost of the expense for each course. And then they in turn reimburse us for the cost of that course. So sometimes we may have spent more than we did in tuition, but they go along with that only because they also receive state aid and county chargeback money. So they're coming out ahead. There's no doubt about that. That type of thing. And I'm not trying to be nasty about that. Obviously, they're in business to be able to make money, so they lost money wasn't a problem. They also have the affiliation or the sponsorship for the CCMTP that we do, and also the difficult airway program that we offer. The FLCC also provides us, we split between program agency and the council's money and the college. We split phone bill, we split other various utilities or anything if there is anything. In the meantime, they provide custodial services. They provide the lady to be there at night to make sure that the doors are open and closed, some campus security, different things like that. So that's how we run with that. Questions so far? Probably as clear as it was. So it's a nice, it works well, it works together. I can't say it doesn't. It does work together. It's kind of worked this way since 1986. Before that, when we first got started, we didn't have the FLCC sponsorship or the Yates County sponsorship. Ontario County did have one as well. They have let that go because they were doing no classes except for the CFR for the police academy. And since that was taken away, or they're not doing that class in the police academy anymore, they no longer decided to renew their sponsorship. Questions? Ryan, questions? I can guarantee you Ross heard this every year, enough that he could have told you about it. So, I will give you a little heads up. We had Ed, Ronsky, and Marjorie here one year. And we explained this all to them. And Ed said, okay. Marjorie was confused, and they left and never came back and asked any more questions. But Ed said if it works, that's okay. Questions ever?
Maybe we should just explain the flow of money.
Okay. So, the flow of money is, these are quarterly. The council and the program agency, every quarter, at the end of the quarter, we have to voucher Department of Health for the monies that are spent for that quarter. We cannot vouch for anything ahead. We can only vouch for what we have expended for that quarter. And then we hopefully, not be naughty to the state, but they're not really good right now about paying bills. But the other issue is on that they reimburse us, and that's what gives us money to roll for the next time. Some of you have been around long enough to know that for sometimes, and probably in the last 30 years, we've had probably at least 6 or 8 times where we have threatened that we had to almost think about closing because their reimbursement was not coming forward. Many of you will remember Syracuse or the Central New York, they closed down around the Thanksgiving time for many times because they were not getting reimbursement from the state. But that works for the 146, that works for the 25,000, and so that's why the college is kind of like our bank, because they give me money back when I voucher for the classes, so I can always keep the classes going and stuff like that, and the turnaround. But sometimes it can get a little dicey as to when that money's coming, as to what we're doing and what we're going to expend out. And again, we can only voucher for what we get. We can't voucher for the 146 and go, oh yeah, we'll spend it by the end of the year. Fiscal year is July 1st to June 30th of every year. So again, we have to make sure that we plot it out. John does a budget for all of the 146 and the 25 to figure out how much we think we're going to spend each month on salaries, medical directors, anything else that's coming up along the way, and then we have to submit that in for payment with a voucher quarterly. The classes, once we do the practical exam for the students, I have to voucher within 7 days to the state, and then that money comes when it comes. That's all I can say. It's supposed to be within 6 weeks, it comes when it comes. Then the issue we have now as to why we went to charging up front is because now with the computer-based testing, where the student has up to a year from their original test date, their scheduled last date of class, to take their 3 tries, we receive no money until that person has tested and we get their test results. Then we have 30 days from that point in time to voucher the state to get their money. Now, I can guarantee you that every Friday, I pull up to see, because I have a code that I can go on there to see who is tested in that week so that we can voucher for them. We have still some who have their time has expired, not them, their time has expired, where they have run out of time because they forget about it or whatever. Anytime we have any meeting with the sponsorship with the state or even at Vital Signs and things, everybody is encouraged to try to push their students to test, right? Because the students can go online now and register to take the online exam. Before, we always had the exam the 3rd Thursday of every month. Kids were where they had to be, they take the test, and within a month to 6 weeks, I usually had test results for that entire class. Now it doesn't work that way. Sandy, you had a question.
Not a question, a statement. We're still only paid for the people who pass the course.
We are only reimbursed for the people that pass. So the way it works now is everybody pays up front for their classes regardless. Then if the student passes, okay, we will assist reimbursing the agency that paid for them up front. Also tell them how they're not taking. Right.
You just charge them the state reimbursement rate?
We charge the state reimbursement rate and a little bit more for some supplies and fees, because I have to cover fees. So, yeah. What'd you do?
How many are not being?
Well, this is the issue, and I'm gonna pick on Matt only because I can. All right. So one of the things comes down to if you all belong to agencies or you're all in your own whatever, with your agencies and that. You need to keep on the kids that you have in your organizations because you wanna make sure that they are testing. They get to the practical, they take the practical, yeah, I'm gonna go online and do it or whatever, and then they never do it, all right? We have students from spring of last year to summer of last year that never tested. Part of it is the fear of online testing. And it's two options that you can do for kids. You can go to a regular site. The closest one for us is either Monroe County or going to Syracuse, or I believe Watkins has one site that you can go to, sign, you go online, they register for it, and then they can go take their written exam there. They have proctors there. When they're done with their computer and it shuts down and everything, it will spit out a piece of paper that says, hey, yay, glad you passed. You can use this as your temporary card, or sorry, let's try again. If it's a sorry, let's try again, they have to wait a minimum of 2 business days, and then they can go back in and re-register to take a test again. Okay? And the state has allowed a 3rd chance now within that year. Always used to be 2, now there's 3. Okay? They are finding, though, Jean said last week when I was in Vital Signs, that some of the ones that are coming back and taking it the 3rd time are a little bit more serious because now they realize it's now or never. And for the most part, she said it's probably a 50-50 whether they're going to pass or not the 3rd time. We always went with the thing, pass the 1st time, because if you waited to take the 2nd test, sometimes you did not do as well. The other option that the students can do is that they can, if they can find a place, or they have a, at home or whatever, and they have a computer availability that has video and audio on it, they can sign up to take the test on that computer, okay? But when you sign up to take it, you make arrangements where it's gonna be, the proctor gets a hold of you, so it clicks in on your computer. You have to take your computer, show it up around, underneath the table, everything around to make sure that there's nothing there that you would be cheating on, okay? Problems with that. We've had a couple of folks that have tried to take it at a fire department. Chief has set up their room or whatever, they can take it, stuff like that. They go in, as long as there's nobody in that firehouse, you sometimes have okay. The minute that siren goes off, the bells drop, or somebody comes in that firehouse and talks, shuts right off. And that's your time you've lost. Okay? I encourage them to go sit for the test somewhere else so they get their grades, but they have the right to do either way. All right? And that's why I say to them, it makes it difficult if you have no place that you can guarantee is going to be quiet. I know Heidi Stovey took her last exam at home, her house, and she has a room that, or a room that is an office or whatever, and before they would let her set for her paramedic exam, she literally had to take all the books off the shelf and put out in the hallway. She had to go around that room and prove that there was absolutely nothing in that room for her to be able to pick up. The other situation you run into problems with is talking to yourself. If you're reading the questions on the tablet or whatever, they can shut you down because they think you are talking to someone or somebody is trying to give you answers if you read them out loud. All right, so that's why I say to folks when they say, which is the best way to go, I'm like, go either way, but just keep in mind, if you're gonna test it, now, when they take their exam on their own computers, when they are done and they submit it, they get a thing at the bottom, a little line comes along and says whether they passed or failed, what their grade is. But they have to wait the 4 to 6 weeks for their grade to come in the mail, or their card to come in the mail if they passed. There's no way that they can get anything beyond that. Where if they go to Rochester or wherever and take it and they get the sheet of paper that says they passed, that now is a temporary card for 60 or 90 days, I forget now. It's at least 60. Okay.
Hopefully until they get there.
Yeah, hopefully till they get their other one.
Well, definitely, because they can cover themselves.
Right. So, trying to think about anything else. That's really basically how the testing. The problem is we have a lot of people that are really nervous about taking computer testing. All right, and I mean, Matt's got a new building coming up, he's gonna put soundproof in it, so all the students can go there and take the exam. He'll have a padlock on it, no sirens will blow when he goes out the door. No,
Probably come to lunch at the time and then shut the computer down by mistake.
yep. Yep, we've had several students have told us that they've been shut out, and of course that counts as the first time for them, they get a couple more chances. But it has been either they've been reading it out loud, and the proctor says, who's there? And if they say nobody or whatever, they can shut it down. The other one was where we hear lights, or we hear sirens go off, they're in the firehouse or in different places like that. Jeff Harloff has offered this facility for folks that they need to make arrangements. Again, it's probably a one-on-one deal because you can't have more than one person in there. The problem is you wanna make sure it's not a Monday night where you have firemen running through and making, and you certainly don't want it while the police academy are going through and doing their SWAT thing.
Or the dogs.
Or the dogs. So, just to let you know, that's how they work. So the thing for you guys is if you have students in your agencies, you need to work with them. Make sure you encourage them to get this testing done. And that's the only thing.
Because if you don't, you won't get the money.
You don't get the money, and the student's out the money because somebody's paid it up front. I have your money, so if you don't test. I mean, we have gone as far as the last 2 years that this has been in act. We have gone as far as at the end of every semester, different things like that, Leanne or someone will call the students and remind them, you still have your test. Yep, I know, or they'll say, oh, I forgot the telephone number, so we give them the telephone number, we give them their course number, we give them what their EMT number is, and say you need to call and make these arrangements. Now, it's not to say there has not been some glitches with PSI, which is the company, and the state and us as far as that part goes. Some of that was hit and miss because we have some students who need IEP, who have IEPs that need additional testing time and stuff like that. That stuff had to be all mailed in and approved, obviously 8 weeks ahead of time. So if it didn't get done, and we had some classes that didn't get done with because of COVID, the folks at the state were not in the office to pick up all the paperwork so the kids could get there extra time.
Now, is the state actually saving money going this way?
Certainly.
Oh, yeah. No
No,
proctors,
No proctors,
Yeah.
no test.
cost you $28 every time you
Yes,
test.
there is a cost of $28 every time the student tests.
They don't mail the things out to you, they don't mail them back.
Yeah, there's no printing cost for the test.
Correct.
And they're secure.
And they're secure.
You'll never see the same test twice. It's not like.
And you could take one tonight, and you could take one tomorrow night, and it's not the same test.
Yeah, it's all randomized, it's just a test bank that randomizes it.
So you don't have to worry about remembering your questions, because it'll work. Anybody have questions on this or the state testing?
How often is the student reminded that he needs to test after the course is finished
Really?
by this organization?
We call twice.
You call twice.
And after that, if they're not big boys, then they probably should not be bananas. I'm sorry.
We tell them all throughout the class. We encourage them to go test. I tell them, you need to do this, or this was a waste for you. And some of them never bother to sign up, go take the test. You know what? They don't belong to any of us.
Yeah, I mean, if, all joking aside, you hate to say it, if they're not bright enough to go take the test, probably not somebody you want coming to save your life. At
No,
least I
there's so
don't.
much help you're gonna get.
I have, right now, 3 Hobart William Smith students that I just got grades on that tested, that were done last minute. Because they just, I mean, the kids are smart enough, it's not that they're not, it's just, I called them the second time and said, you guys only have until May, and if you fail, you have to get your 3 in that time that's left. Now, there was a little confusion up front, and I will give the students that, because when when we shut down classes in May of
Oh, that was a mess.
classes shut down in March of 20. We didn't start back up with them in either small groups or whatever until May. So I had to do an adjustment to the schedule and send it into Jean, which was fine, saying that we were going to do this, what was our plan, and the kids now were not going to test until August. So their original 1 year should have been from May to May, but because we changed the schedule due to COVID, they actually got until August of 21 rather than May of 20. For some of that was a little bit for them to digest why or how or whatever, but we kind of got that all figured out with them. So I will say that first 2 semesters of kids, it was a little hard with them to try to get acclimated when they really were supposed to sign up. That's why we kept calling, saying we need to do this.
But that extension was in there all the time.
Yes.
They weren't even here. Ouch.
But like I say, we brought them in at different places that we could. North Seneca opened up, here opened up. Where else have we did that? Oh, Hopewell opened up, you know, and had Station 1 out on County Road 4, because Hopewell got a hold of me and said, I know you can do small classes and stuff like that. If you want Station 1, it's yours. So we would go in, we would disinfect it every time, we would bring in 4, 5, 6 students, and we would run whatever we were gonna run for stations and stuff like that, or we would bring them in and do lectures and then do some of that. So we finally got them all so that they could test. So, but again, that moved their test date for us to get a time frame to get them all in, that moved their test date until. So for some of them, they had a little extra time, but for some of them, it didn't. It was kind of a deterrent because they were in the swing, and when things shut down in March, you get back in the swing 6 weeks later. Before you agree with that, it was hard for the students to come back and really get back into them. I don't know which would have been better or worse, just to scratch it and start it over again, or do what we did.
I think the all Daryl came and all gas were practical, but then you gotta get them to go
Yeah,
sign
you
up,
gotta
take
get
the
them to
test.
take the written. Questions? So. Yes,
If
Steve?
anybody has an idea of things that the council should do or a good project that the council should sponsor, it only can be done if
If it falls
it
in,
falls within the descriptions, and then you guys have to figure out if you've got a budget spot to make that work.
correct. Because there are some things that they come up with at REMAC or whatever, that they want some kind of a project done, and it's like, that's all good and well and done, but we don't have any money for it. So we have to figure out where we get the money. So we either charge the student, charge the agency, do whatever we need to do, or we can say we can't do it this year, but we can work it into next year's.
And it's also very important when we put classes up, especially some of our special classes, that we get people to go to the class without us being able to spend the money on that class. Now you screw up the whole budget for the year. We just turned down what? Difficult airways?
We offered 3 fundamentals of basic airway. And 1 went. 2 of them, there was not one. Everett, a talking pacemaker. However you feel.
Sorry.
It's your pacemaker.
It wasn't my pacemaker.
So,
It was a silly.
The other thing that assisted us on getting our classes done was actually the availability of some of the EMS agencies that would take our students even during COVID. We had many that said they didn't feel safe taking them, and I can fully understand that. But we had some, especially that were willing to take the paramedics because we were desperate for paramedics and we wanted to get them done and get them out. We took the AEMTs. We did it the state's approval. We could do scenarios to help finish them up if they were short a call or two on ride time or whatever. And Heidi Stovey sat down and wrote 50 different scenarios that we could use for scenarios for the students to test out to see if we knew what they were doing. So if they had 12 ride calls they had to do as a basic EMT, we set the rule of 2 scenarios that you could adequately do and perform, we'll go through or whatever, equaled 1 call. So if a student only had 10 or had 2 or 4 or what of their real calls done, and they had to do 6 or 8 other calls, that meant that they had to do 12 to 16 scenarios, which the state approved all of that. In fact, Jean took our scenarios and gave them across the whole state so that they could use them, because there were a lot of agencies that didn't have, or sponsors that didn't have anything like that, which is fine. But again, that was a very costly process that the council paid, because by the time you bring a student in, you've got to have them go through 16 scenarios. You might as well figure you're there 5 or 6 hours with one kid. So Gloria helped on it with her kids.
I threatened all my makeups in.
Well,
I told the
think so.
alternative was horrible.
They still had to do like 4-year people.
so, but we can't do that. The state no longer approves that. That's not part we can put in anymore. We can use the scenarios during class, obviously, but that's not anything that we can use. That's where we kind of set. We do a sponsorship meeting once a month. 3 o'clock on Thursday afternoon. Except this time it's gonna be December 1st because we didn't want to come in, we didn't want to listen on Thanksgiving. Anybody? Make sense? Or you just don't care?
As the council 501c3,
Yes, I am.
it is, so you guys can really go for whatever service you want.
To a point, yes.
Okay, has there been any thought of charging the counties for medical direction to offset some of these smaller departments who can't afford to send people for classes?
Counties won't buy into it. Counties will not buy into it.
Well, if they don't have medical direction, they don't have EMS in their counties.
That would have to go to the board of supervisors.
No, I get it, but I'm just trying to say is, you know, there's a lot of stuff being put on these EMS agencies. Money's tight for everybody, you know, and you guys do offer services. I mean, you're billing us to send in students that we don't even know if they're gonna pass or not. So you're shifting it on the EMS agencies, but is there any talk about refocusing this?
We've talked in many different ways, because back when the council first was incorporated back in '86, when the state did away with Empire 9, because I don't remember back then, it used to be Empire 9 was the 4 counties from Southern Tier, R4, and Monroe Livingston, or 3 counties from Southern Tier, so there were 9 counties that were covered, was called Empire 9, and the state came in and closed all that down. There were different, they weren't all Empire 9, but there were different empires, I called it, through the whole state. And so the state came in and closed them down and made the councils, that's when the councils were developed under Article 30.
Yeah, I remember that.
So
I'm just thinking,
originally what happened for the medical direction, because before that, we used to have what we called, what was it called, medical standards. Medical standards, yeah. The council per se, had their own medical standards with stuff, docs and stuff like that. But then there was an agency that was based out of Geneva General at that point in time. And so we had a hospital in Clifton, Newark, Sodas, Canandaigua, Taylor Brown, Geneva, Soldiers and Sailors, and I'm missing another one.
Okay.
Myers. That was Sodas, Myers. So each of those hospitals kicked in, that agency billed each of the hospitals $1,000. And that is what paid our initial medical director expense, because we did not have program agency then. Program agency didn't come along until the early 90s. So to have a medical director that was in charge of all that, the hospitals bought into it, that company or whatever is now since dissipated and they don't do it anymore. So, but that's how we initially got our medical direction paid for, and then when program agency came out, it talked about the ability to pay for the medical director, so that's where that has come from.
There's nothing limiting your revenue stream, you basically do what you need to do to provide the service. The money you get from the state has to be earmarked for certain things that get me. But, you know, EMO grants, emergency management grants, all that other stuff. If you go to a fire department, I go to my fire department, like taking the fire class, it doesn't cost me a dime. But for EMS, the agencies, we don't get funding from the local municipalities, it's 14%.
Yes, because fire is considered essential services.
Right, but there's nothing state that you can't bill for your services. I mean, all those nonprofits that started out, are now billing for ambulance service. Why can't the region bill for a service to help offset this? I mean, it's thinking way outside the box and different. I'm just wondering if anybody ever explored it. Just a thought.
I mean, there's even been talk to build the agency so much based on their call value towards medical direction.
Well, that's what I mean. I think these agencies are going to get a ton of land here in the long future. Because, I mean, this is a great plan of revenue streams, but what happens when one or two of those start falling off? The region's going to be in trouble.
Well, exactly. I mean, the thing that has really helped them has actually been the colleges side, and that's how they've been able to not go as long. I can tell you that for a long time, up until this last year and a half or 2 years, we never charged up front. We always waited till they took the test. We didn't even charge for people that failed. All right, we took what with everything happening and students' aptitude not being what it should be, we had a lot less of them passing, and it was really depleting the pot. Originally, again, many years ago, before the CME program came along, we had refreshers. It was nothing to have a refresher class with 30 kids in it. And all joking aside, you could do 30 kids in a refresher for a 60-hour class and get the state reimbursement, and it didn't cost you nearly as much as what the state reimbursement was. So that was where we would have a little bit of a kitty to buy new equipment, to do different things like that with. CME program comes along, and I'm not knocking, I'm just saying, CME program comes along. First few years, it wasn't too bad because people were kind of like, they didn't know if they believed it or not. And then it didn't go too bad, but now with Vital Signs Academy and everything being out there, you can get everything online now and do that. We are seeing fewer and fewer even refreshers and core people, CME people, because they can do everything online. Our courses are falling off, there's no doubt about that. Anybody that's been old enough to be here for any length of time, it used to be nothing to have an original and a refresher in all of the counties, and in Ontario County, we always had 2 originals and 2 refreshers, and Wayne County always had 2 and 2. Every semester. It was nothing to have 4, 5, 6 originals and refreshers to go with it. And they now have come off, actually, because we all know for every 5 of us that are retiring, there's only 2 new ones coming up. So the originals are stepping down. People are deciding they don't want to become part of EMS or whatever. Refreshers are depleting, so that's why we had to go to charging up front for the classes. And we did some real survey on that, because I know up in the North Country, they've charged for years. Cayuga County has charged for years, different ones like that. So that's where we came up with we better charge up front before we really lose our tail. So that's where that's come from. I understand where you're coming from, but again, I'm not sure the hospitals would buy into it, and I don't know if the counties would buy into it. There's nothing that says they have to.
Well, if they want a service, ultimately somebody's got to pay for it. So right now, the ambulance services are paying for this. A lot of this, especially because we're putting the people through classes who are, I can think of 6 paramedics in the last 2.5 years that have retaken courses. That money's got to come from someplace. And honestly, I know there's a lot more grants out there, especially for countywide resources and stuff like that. I'm just wondering if they can look into that business model, because something's gotta change. It's changing for us.
I mean, I know the college works with us with their grants people, as far as if we're looking for stuff. The girl that's over there is always continually looking, is there anything that we can give you in that? We got, several years ago, we got a PATEA grant, which is Vocational Technical and Educational Act. We got a $20,000 grant they got for us through PATEA. And what that had a stipulation is we had to take one module out of the EMS program, and what did we want to do it on? And that's when we did it on lifting and moving. That's when all the electric or battery operated stretchers were coming out, the new stair chairs, everything else like that. So they put 20 grand into that stuff for us for training. So I do know that they do look on there for us, but again, colleges also say too, a lot of grant money is drying up. So we can get it back, you know, something doesn't happen. Anybody's got any suggestions, you know, that's what it is. They talk for, there's numerous talks that keep going on about whether there should go back to an Empire 9, whether we should do whatever. Brian, you wanna add anything to this?
No.
No, because it's not much.
Yeah.
Smart. Is there anything else for Donna?
Before we go, I want to remind you, your committee lists are out, and I really thank everyone that submitted what they wanted to be on. I tried to work very diligently to get you on the committee that you wanted. I want to remind you that according to the bylaws, you can miss no more than 4 meetings in the rotating year. But you also must attend at least 50% of your committee meetings. So if you're on a committee and you don't go, you can still be forced off council. So please remember that. Because we seem to be having a problem. It's the same people that do the same things. And this is not directed at anybody in this room, but I really appreciate you being on council. I value your opinions and your ideas. But I want you to remember, you do not have the power to say, I belong to the EMS Council and you must do what I tell you to do.
I feel attacked.
I know. Please, I don't have power. We don't have power. We are here as a committee to work together and have suggestions on classes and ideas and how we can better EMS in our district. There is no power here. Please do not go around threatening agencies that you will close them down or you will remove them. We have no power. Hopefully we're all kind, but unfortunately I'm speaking to the choir here.
Our power is as a group.
Right, but you have no individual power. I don't even have individual. She will rip me a new butt if I say, oh, I am the chair, you can't do that. So she'll just laugh at me and say, so please.
I have people who call and say, you need to take so-and-so's card. Why? I look around the office and I'm like, as much as I'd like to take several people's cards, I can't.
Right. So we can't do those things. And also, on behalf of the committee, happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you believe in. God bless you all, and thanks for coming. Okay, motion to adjourn. Oh, roll call.
We need a motion to adjourn.
Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. So, I guess, John's gonna put committees on, most of us are on the same committees, we had new people,
There's a second, there's a second.
who are on.
Are we doing closing?
Oh, no, I got it.
Guys, just for some entertainment, any of the companies that were bad people, one got a civil penalty of $3,000 and the other two got a civil penalty of $4,000 and every individual civil penalty of $2,000.
Just as a reminder, if you're on the council and you wanna help at the conference, let me know.
I got you covered, Roy.
Otherwise, as long as you get the fireplace there.
Fireplace work. Put it on.
Cheer, John.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Do the same thing at work.
Which fireplace?
The link will be coming out.
Happy Thanksgiving. Merry Christmas, Julie. Merry
And I need to know about
Get sick the next time you're here.